You guys ready to get into disobedience and disease tonight? Let's talk that talk, honey. We ain't talking no nutrition science. Don't ask me about no protein tonight. Okay. Don't ask me about no B12 tonight. We talking about the real life stuff, right? Like, how do I show up on assignment and give God what I like to call a return on his investment? Every day that he wakes me up, I owe him a return on his investment in me, right? And for me, the ROI that I give God, I call radical obedience to what he asked me to do. Now, I told you guys inside the portal in the very first lesson that you guys were my assignment, right? Showing up, teaching, speaking, entertaining, having a good time, trying to make optimal health as fun and appealing and attractive as possible, trying to make not eating bacon as attractive as possible. I'm doing my best, right? I'll be tired after these lives, John. I'm like, I'm going to convince them that the radical obedience is better than cheese and cookies. So we're going to figure it out together, okay? And so this is my assignment. And so today I'm going to have a conversation with Dr. Judy about just that. Me and Judy have had some fun conversations about this privately. So what we're excited to do tonight is invite you into what has historically been a private conversation with me and Dr. Judy about obedience and faith, right? And taking chances and doing hard things. How many people have learned some stuff here about doing hard things? Just the subtle art of it. You know what I mean? Okay. Very good. So Dr. Judy, are you ready? Let's find her. Are you ready? I saw her come in. So let me
Hello.
Hey.
Hi, everybody. Hi, Lisa.
Hey, there you are. So let me bring you up on the spotlight. I'm going to join with you, Dr. Judy, and we're going to rock and roll. You ready to get into it tonight?
I am ready.
Yay. Okay, super excited. So, Dr. Judy, I want to kick off this conversation. First and foremost, I'm going to have you introduce yourself to everyone and tell them a little bit about yourself, the plant-based MD herself, and tell them a little bit about who you are and what you do.
Sure. So thank you so much for the opportunity, Lisa. As I heard you introducing the challenge and the wins, I just got so excited because we are so much in alignment as far as our purpose, our mission, and what we're teaching our audiences. So I'm Dr. Judy Brangman. I'm an internal medicine and lifestyle medicine physician. I've been plant-based myself for 8 years or so. And I have been teaching people, clients, patients, how to transition to a healthy plant-based diet. And as a result, I have had many patients come off of medications for blood pressure, diabetes. I've had people just like one of the gentlemen that you mentioned who had a condition for 10 years and was told that it was genetic. And they saw me in clinic and I spoke to them about eating healthier and they were able to come off medications in a matter of months. It doesn't even take long. And so what my journey has brought me, and we'll get into this more, is over the past 3 years, I had a transformation and experience that led me to shift my message that I was teaching. So instead of just teaching plant-based nutrition, now I'm teaching more of a holistic message that basically entails being in alignment in mind, body, and spirit. And I believe firmly that disease and sickness is caused by being disobedient to one of three things. My method is called the P3 method: plants, prayer, and peace. So either disobedient to the diet, the plants; peace, either being disobedient to, not having stress reduction, so chronic stress. And then the third one is prayer. So just being out of alignment spiritually, not walking in your purpose, not being obedient to what God or the higher power has told you to do. So that's what I believe disease is caused from now. And so that's what I teach now. Currently, I am full-time in entrepreneurship and I have a coaching program and I do speaking.
Okay, prayer, plants, and peace. Okay, all right, Dr. Judy. I'm not going to get too far ahead because I just picked it up there and we can run with it. But I do have a question I want to start with to kind of lay the foundation of our conversation this evening. And that question is, why did you go into medicine?
That's a juicy question. So the reason why I went into medicine, to be honest, in my early days, I would give like a really canned answer, but truthfully, I believe that's what God was calling me to do. And so this goes back to your purpose and being obedient. However, now that things are coming full circle, I feel comfortable in sharing the whole story. But I remember medicine was my second career. So I graduated from undergrad with a degree in medical technology or clinical lab science. And I was kind of thinking of going to medical school, but I felt like it was too hard and it wasn't really interesting to me. But over the next couple of years, I just felt this nagging in my spirit I started to have dreams about it, and it just wouldn't go away. And so I said, okay, well, this must be something telling me that this is what I'm supposed to do. And I distinctly remember God saying that I need you to get an MD because people will listen to you more with an MD. And so he told me that I was supposed to be speaking and saying something. I didn't know what the message was at that time, but I had no interest in pursuing medicine because I'm more of a natural person, and I would have done something like nutrition or naturopathic medicine. But he specifically said to go to medical school. So that's where I went.
So what I'm hearing is from the beginning, you've been obedient. It was an obedient decision to get into medicine.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. When a funny story is when I was like, I'm not sure if this is God or my own imagination, I had 3 requirements. You know how you're like, okay, if this is God, make this happen, make that happen. And there were 3 nearly impossible things that if they happen, I was like, okay, this had to be God. So the 3 things were, I'm originally from Bermuda. My undergrad scores weren't that great because I was not really too serious. I was like, I want to get in on the first try. I want to get into a school in the United States. I'm not going to the Caribbean. And then I want to get into a top rated school, like not a bottom, like a middle top. And I figured that if all those things lined up, you know, that had to have been God. And if one of those things weren't lined up, if I didn't get in the first year, I would have been like, forget it. That ain't God. Let me keep living my life. Because I was in Bermuda at the time, working in a hospital there in the lab. So I would have been like, nah, forget it. But everything worked out, and I got into Wake Forest, applied one cycle, got in. It was the easiest thing to get into medical school, and the rest was history.
You know, this is so funny because Dr. Judy, like my experience with obedience has been the exact same way. Like a lot of times when things come, the fact that a lot of things come easy for me personally has been an indicator that I'm moving in the right direction. Like this is too easy. Like this is too,
absolutely.
Right? Like I don't have to work for it. I didn't have to push hard for it. I didn't have to beg for it. I didn't have to figure stuff out. Like it was just like, okay. And so he gave you the 3 signs that you were looking for. Like, all right, you need more. Okay. You need more proof. I done told you, but you need a little more. Here you go. And so you follow through.
Yeah, I did. Not immediately though. It was about 2-year period where I was like delaying the situation. You know, I was like, is this God? Is this God?
Okay, so we were still disobedient. Like delayed obedience is still disobedience.
Yeah, we were still
right?
Delayed.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie. You know, I'll keep it real.
But eventually you followed through and you did the thing.
Yeah, you can't deny it. When this spirit speaks to you and you're open and in tune to it, it disturbs you so much. It's like you have to do it because it's just like it just bothers you. Like you would have dreams. I started to have dreams about it. And then I was like, okay, let me just go.
Wow, that's deep. My first bout of obedience, I believe, was in 2012 when I quit like my 9-to-5, and I'm like, it feels like I'm just supposed to take this unpaid internship over in Italy and just figure it out. I don't know how I'm gonna make money. I don't know what I'm gonna do when I get back to the U.S. I don't know how I'm gonna fund my stay in Italy because it's an unpaid internship. But I'm like, there's no way I'm about to be a social worker for the rest of my life. We're gonna figure it out. And so, do you feel like where your life has been since you decided to move forward and be obedient and get into medicine, have things felt on track since then? Or has there been a different experience with obedience or disobedience, even though you got into medicine? Did it ever get to a point like, why is this feeling like this, even though this is what God told me to do?
No, things always felt on track with me because I've always been in tune spiritually. So even when things got difficult in medical school, maybe I didn't feel supported as a person of color, I always had my head focused. I really wasn't too concerned with what they were saying or what they were doing because I knew I was going to be a board certified doctor and it didn't really matter what people thought about me. So that's the posture that I had.
I love this because what I heard you say is I always knew. So that was just 100% certainty. There was 0 doubt.
Oh, 0 doubt.
I love it. Okay, so y'all note that. Like when you're moving in a direction that God tells you to move, there's no room for doubt because you're already certain.
Yeah, my journey wasn't even perfect. I failed an exam one time. So it's not like I, had a perfect smooth journey, but I was like, this is just a hiccup in the road. This ain't, we just going to get back to studying and we're going to pass the second time. So yeah, when you're guided by the right things, even your hiccups don't really they don't derail you.
Yes. Yeah. So I love this. I love that you said that because a lot of times what I found, and you tell me if you found this in your experience, especially, running a faith-based practice, Dr. Judy, is that when people initially have doubt, but they then still go ahead and move forward toward the thing. One hiccup or if something goes wrong is almost like they're looking for evidence as to why they were right and they shouldn't have done it.
Oh, yeah. People do that all the time. Yeah.
Yeah.
But we mustn't do that because there will be hiccups. Always.
Yeah. So
I think.
I agree with you. Like the path is not meant to be perfect or unscathed, but a lot of times people are looking for evidence of their limiting beliefs.
Oh, yeah, people want it to be easy. I don't know where they got this idea. I think society does us a disservice to make us think that discomfort is something we should avoid and that we should seek pleasure. This is why people have problems with food. We're seeking pleasure in every situation. A lot of times we're seeking pleasure, but sometimes the thing that you're meant to do will be uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Difficult.
100%.
But it's worth it in the end, though. Like the peace and the joy is just indescribable.
It is. Considering that you make it to the end, though. Like,
yeah.
Right.
That's what I mean.
Yeah. And that's what, I guess that's what we have to tell people. And it's like, it really does. Like it really does open up. You come out of the tunnel and it's just like the peace, the joy, the contentment, right? You're not always having to be striving or looking for something or having that nagging thing in you because something is unfulfilled or untapped potential, right? Okay. So let's talk about your mission then, where you are now. And then I want to talk about, kind of what happened recently with you making a shift and making a different decision on how you wanted to show up in the field of medicine. But talk to us a little bit more about your personal mission.
So my personal mission, it comes from a deep desire to help people to live optimally in mind, body, and spirit. And the reason why this is so important is because I have seen through family members and people that I love dearly how disease, mental illness, physical disease has rendered them unable to fulfill their purpose in this life. Meaning you are not in your right mind, you're not able to work, you're not able to do the thing that you're supposed to do because you're distracted. And I experienced this when I had my sickness issue of the past few years. I was not able to work. I wasn't able to do my thing. So I'm so passionate about this because this is what I think. It sounds really lofty, probably. But I think that if every individual is walking in alignment with their purpose and whatever it is they're supposed to be doing, if they're walking in obedience, I just think the world would be a better place.
Agreed. 100%.
We would all be happier.
Yes.
We'd have happier marriages. We'd be happier parents. We'd be better friends. And the world would be a better place. So that's really what I want. I've always had this dream, even before like 10 years ago, when I finished residency, I remember saying to myself, I really want us to be able to have less people coming into the hospital. I've always been different. I've always been an out of the box thinker. So I've always been like, how can we keep people out of the hospital? How can we prevent them from getting diabetes and kidney disease? And my attendings, my colleagues would just be like, it's genetic. And I never was satisfied with that answer. And I didn't discover plant-based nutrition until a few years later. But I've always been the person that's like, no, there's got to be more than this. Because you see the trajectory of people that have a condition, you get diagnosed with blood pressure issues at 20, 30, you get a medicine. You keep going, the next thing you know, you get diabetes, then you get kidney problems, then you get a stroke, and then you're on these medications, and then you're still having stroke, and you're like, well, why am I still having stroke? That's because the medicine doesn't address the underlying issue. It's still the problem that's still there.
Yeah. 100%.
Plenty of people have strokes with normal blood pressures on medications.
Say that again, Dr. Judy. Plenty of people have what? On what?
Strokes with normal blood pressures on blood pressure medications and statins.
Still having stroke on the medication. That's it. Did y'all hear that? Like plenty of people still succumb to strokes even on the medication for the thing. That's big. Okay. So let's talk about your personal experience. Now, you told us about, like, for you, going into medicine was an act of obedience, right? And you knew that you were going to become a board certified physician, and you did, right? God met all your requirements, right? He got you into the school. He got you into a good school. You got in on the first time. So God met all your requirements and you move forward. Okay. So now share with us your experience, Dr. Judy, with disobedience, your personal experience with disobedience.
So the one situation that you're referring to was I have been feeling God leading me to leave traditional medicine. Like I knew the day was going to come, but I don't know why. When the moment came, it was very scary for me because, like you, I didn't have a backup plan. I didn't see how I was going to make money. I had started my business, but it was still, and still is actually in the early stages, right? And so I didn't see all the steps of what I was going to do. At that time, my business was really more like a hobby because I was working a lot. But I just remember feeling like I was supposed to be leaving. This was in 2020. And I'm proud of myself though, although I was temporarily obedient, but disobedient, I actually put in my notice. Like I did think that was God. Like it was like very clear. When you've been walking with the spirit, you kind of get to know his voice, right? But sometimes it seems so difficult. You're like, nah, that can't be real. So early February 2020, before the pandemic, I remember feeling like, hey, listen, it's time for you to leave medicine. I need you to get out. You need to quit your job. And I was like, nah, I'm gonna stay in this job for a couple of months. Let me just stay through the summer. And I distinctly remember feeling like if you wait until March, you're not gonna quit. I don't know what that meant because I was like, what's gonna happen in March? Nothing's gonna happen in March. So anyway, I did put in my notice. We have to give a 4 month notice. You know, doctors have to give a long notice. That was the end of February. And then what happened in March? 2 weeks later, the pandemic came. I was like, wait a minute, no. And this speaks to what you're saying about, I guess, when trials come, right? Because I was like, I doubted. I was like, no, this cannot have been God. There is no way. My plan was to do locums, like PRN work, and I had started a practice, a holistic wellness center. It was small, it was just me, but I was going to grow that. And I was like, I can't do this practice now because it's COVID, so everyone's on lockdown. All the jobs, the hospitals were going on hiring freezes. I was like, how am I going to make money? So I actually took back my resignation. I was like, there's no way that's God. There's no way. I went back and forth for months and God was quiet. He had already spoken. He didn't tell me. I was asking and I was like, okay, can you show me? Can you tell me? Should I still quit this job? Should I keep it? Like what? He didn't say anything. So I just used my logical brain and I told my boss that I wanted to stay.
Have you ever heard of such a thing? Reversing obedience.
Reversing a quit, reversing a resignation. Fortunately, I did it on good terms. I love the company, so they were happy for me to stay because it was so uncertain in the hospital. They really needed, more people.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so that was that. And then fast forward to, I don't know if this is all from disobedience or this is just my path, but that moment on has been probably the most challenging period of my life. I went through a period of depression, chronic stress. I've never had any problems with that before, but the stress of working in the pandemic really affected my health. So it impaired my immune system. I didn't realize this until later. And so when I got the COVID infection, I got very sick with it. I should not have gotten that sick. I was fully whole food, plant-based. I was exercising, getting my sleep. I'd never smoked, don't drink. But somehow when I got my first infection in August 2021, I ended up in the hospital despite being fully vaccinated. I was actually going to work trying to do my shift and I got dizzy and basically my heart was racing and they had to keep me overnight to give me fluids and everything. And I have had persistent symptoms for like the following 2 years. And so in that journey, it's led me to dig into the mind-body connection and the impact of chronic stress, the impact of disobedience. That's why now I think sickness for some people is due to disobedience. And I think partly for me, I would say that played a role, possibly.
Yeah. So let's talk about that a little bit. So how it happened was you submitted your letter of resignation, but then COVID hit and you saw that as a sign, as a bad time to resign, and decided to rescind your resignation letter and started working during COVID. Now, had you not rescinded your resignation letter, Dr. Judy, when would you have left? Like what date did you put on your resignation letter initially?
It would have been June, end of June.
It would have been the end of June, and the pandemic started in March. It's when shutdown and all that stuff started, should I say. And so you ended up working how much longer past June?
To 2022. 2022 was when I quit for good from that job, and I did I was working very part-time because I had persistent symptoms from the COVID. It's called long COVID. So I was
Yeah.
very fatigued. So I couldn't work very many shifts in the month. So I was working on a very, very part-time basis.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So, and you say you do really believe part of it was the stress you were feeling at the job, which was like a wear and tear on all of your healthcare
Mm-hmm.
providers, right? So, thank you for your service during that time. I know it was crazy. And so you really believe potentially that the disobedience and staying at the job, like changing your mind about the resignation, really aided in how sick you got from COVID.
I think so. And also not being in alignment with what you're supposed to be doing in the present moment. So for me, it got to a point where I would have a couple of days off, a month off, I would feel better. Then I would go back to work and the symptoms would come back. And there are other doctors who have had this. At some point in their career, they got some symptoms like headaches, fast heart rate, and it went away when they left their job. The job is very stressful. And so it got to a point where I was kind of like, okay, for my health, I need to just walk away from this thing and have faith that it will work out. And you helped me to do that, actually. So I'm very grateful for you because
Mm.
you were very direct with me. I was a little bit offended initially. I'm not going to lie. She was like, okay, listen, if you're at the point where things are this uncomfortable, that means you've been disobedient for a long time. I was like, oh, but you were right. You were kind of right. And you were like, faith is walking without sight. And then you said something else you said, like I wrote it down. It's like a note somewhere. I forget the other thing you said, but that helped me to be confident to
Yeah.
quit.
Yeah. Yeah. We had, I'm sorry. I didn't know it offended you.
Not for long, but I mean, you know what I mean? It was like, huh, she said that? But I needed to hear it though. So I'm great. I'm grateful.
Listen, as a coach, I've
Not
been,
offended, but you know what I mean. Yeah, that's what I'm saying, Nafia. Lisa will get you together quick. You need it.
listen, as coaches, we ain't trained in
She
bedside
gathers
manner
you.
like y'all. So I ain't got none, Dr. I'm talking about no bedside manner, honey. I know I'm blocked on a lot of people's pages. So this let's lean into faith right here, Dr. Judy, because you said there was a pattern that you noticed. Like you would take some time off, a month or whatever, and feel fine. Go back, all the symptoms, all the illness will recur, right? So
Mm-hmm.
your body, you were having a physiological reaction to going back into a stressful
Mm-hmm.
environment, right?
Absolutely.
Okay. So at some point, did the fear of the unknown, i.e., what would happen if I left, that overrode your decision to be obedient and leave and listen to the body? When did that shift, though? When did you decide that the unknown was safer than continuing on the pattern you were on?
Well, it was my fear of being completely bedbound for like 6 months
Mm.
because I basically had chronic fatigue syndrome symptoms in October. And I was forced to take a 3 month off work. At that point, I had left the hospital, but I had done this is again disobedience, right? You don't quit fully and do what you're supposed to do. You do something else. So I left clinical hospital work and I did non-clinical job working for an insurance company from home. It was a terrible fit for me. I did not want to be working for helping insurance companies. So that was out of alignment too. But I was still getting sick. And I was like, why am I still sick? Like, this is an easy job. It's home. And in October, it was like full blown, like just tired all the time. My heart was racing again. I was having headaches, nausea. Like, I've seen like 5 or 6 different specialists. It's crazy. Like, all of my testing is basically negative. They don't have no solutions for me. But basically, I kind of had to figure this all out myself and figured out that it's a mind problem. It's something with the stress. And I was just scared of being just worse off physically. And so now when I work with people, I'm mindful of it. And I'm really certain that a lot of people that have blood pressure issues and cancer and stuff like this, part of it is partially possibly related to something with the mind body
Mm.
connection.
No doubt about it.
And you're not conscious of it too, like unhealed trauma, chronic stress, not being in alignment, not being true to yourself, not being authentic, all of these things, unforgiveness, all of these things lead to sickness, I believe.
That's a big deal. And let's just be clear. Let's just make it real plain for him, Dr. Judy. Can spinach help with that?
No, spinach cannot.
What about
Oh
chickpeas?
my goodness. So this is the thing. Medications and the diet work so much better when you get to the basement and clean out the cobwebs. That's what we're doing when we're cleaning out our soul and our mind and all that stuff. You're actually getting to the root of the issue, and it makes the diet work better. It makes the medicines work better. This is why some people struggle with losing weight. They're working on the diet and the exercise, but really they're working too much. They're stressed out, right? And these things, stress, leads to physiological changes in your body, hormonal changes that cause you to crave foods, have problems sleeping, and your body just retains weight. So you're basically fighting an uphill battle if you don't first address the unhealed trauma, chronic stress, and I would even say disobedience. That has to be addressed first.
Yeah.
But most people don't want to deal with it because it's uncomfortable, right? We don't like thinking about uncomfortable things.
Yeah. Avoidance is what we call it. Yeah. Yeah. Acting avoidance. And then, like you said, that turns into emotional eating, and we find temporary satisfaction in instances. This is good. Okay. So as we begin to wrap up here, Dr. Judy, let's talk about what happened when I got disrespectful. You had a moment, a moment of revelation, and it finally clicked for you, because you said the fear of being bedbound was too great and you had to make a move. And so then you were forced to act and activate faith. Talk about what that looks like for you,
girl.
man.
And I told you my story. And this is actually the first time sharing the story publicly. I think I've shared bits of it, but I told you what happened. Remember, I was so afraid to leave because I'm not married, so there's no one else that I can depend on. I don't even have a family that I can ask for money. Although I have been out of residency for 10 years, so I do have money saved up. But I didn't know how I was going to make money. I had applied for my short-term disability, but they had denied it. I had gotten a high deductible insurance plan because I didn't expect to need it, right? So I had like bills, like $7,000 worth of bills. And it wasn't until I actually told that last job that I wasn't coming back in December. In January, that's when all of a sudden my disability plan got approved. I don't know what changed. I kept emailing them, but they approved the full 3 months for short-term disability. I got all of my medical bills forgiven at the 2 hospital systems that I had been going to. And so basically those 2 checks, which were pretty big checks, covered me for the past 7 months. So basically I have not had to dip into my savings. I keep 6 months in my savings and the rest is in investments. And then I have a house. And I have not had to dip into my savings. All this time, I was worried about having to dip into my savings, pull out of my retirement funds, sell my house. I was thinking the most catastrophic thing. I was thinking even I'd have to move back to Bermuda for a little while, stay with my mom. And I'm just like, October 23 was my last day at that last job. What's that, 7 months? Is it 8 months, 7 months, something like that?
Yep.
And since then, I have so much mental energy and time. First of all my symptoms have gone. All of them.
Say it one more time, Dr. Judy.
All of my symptoms have gone. I was having problems concentrating, focusing with memory. So I was prescribed Adderall, modafinil, which is a stimulant to keep you awake, low dose naltrexone, which is a new experimental treatment for long COVID. I was taking a beta blocker to control my heart rate. I was taking like 7, 8 medications. It was aggravating my spirit. But now I'm not taking any of them. I weaned myself off. And doors have just opened like left, right, and center as far as like my business, like speaking opportunities. I've launched a new program. And I'm just like so happy. And people say that they can see it. Like I feel like I have more energy than I did like 3 years ago. Like, so I'm like, if you feel like there's something you're supposed to be doing, like you feel like God, the universe, or whatever you believe in is telling you to do something, do it. Because you won't know what is in store for you until you take step 1. Step 2 will not be revealed to you until you take step 1. So you literally, like you say, have to take, what do you say? You have to step and not even know whether your foot will land on solid ground. Like that's deep, right? I want to know at least when I step, I'm going to land on solid ground. But you're like, no, you have to walk and step as though you may fall in a ditch.
Yeah. No, that low visibility is scary AF. I mean, let's
It
not, we,
is.
we can still call a thing a thing. Like, let's be
Uh-huh.
honest, y'all. Like, low faith
Yes.
requires low visibility. Low visibility is so scary. So scary. Like, some of us are natural risk takers. A lot of us are risk adverse. And we're just
Yeah.
like, I need to see A through Z. I need some certainty. I need to
Right?
know. And that's just not how
Girl, I'm
faith works.
analytical. Girl, I have
Yeah.
tables and Excel sheets for everything. I research every decision I make is heavily researched and it's a very logical, analytical choice.
Yes.
Okay. I don't make
Yes.
decisions based on feelings. That's just not me.
And so having faith to do what you did and leave that job was a big deal for you. Big
Yeah,
deal.
massive. Massive.
Yeah.
But God knew
Wow.
what he was doing because I have the bandwidth now to actually go full on the thing that I was created to do.
Mm-hmm. The thing I was created to do. I hope y'all ain't missing this. Like the thing I was created to do, the assignment he put inside of me. Okay, so let's finish off, Dr. Judy, by talking about what is that thing you were created to do? Who are you serving now? And how have you brought the things that you're passionate about together?
So right now who I'm serving is I have an 8-week group coaching program for women who want to heal from prediabetes, diabetes, or blood pressure and get off medications and lose weight. But really the bigger picture for me actually is my voice is a gift. And I believe that I'm supposed to really share that with the world through speaking and podcasts. So I started YouTube finally. That's been on my spirit for years to do YouTube, but I never had time. So I started my YouTube channel, The Plant-Based MD, and I'm really having fun doing that. And I also have a podcast.
Yes, I'm so proud of you. I could cry.
Thank you, Lisa. Thank you, Coach Lisa. Y'all, Lisa is legit, okay? You stick with Lisa, you'll be good. And I'm just grateful for you because we've known each other virtually since 2020, but we've never met. But I feel like we're like kindred sisters.
We
For
talk
real.
the same language. Exactly.
Yes.
Language.
When I be seeing your lives about obedience, I'm like, oh, yes. Oh, yes.
All right, y'all, Dr. Judy would DM me one of my podcast episodes like this one hit. So, man, I am so proud of you. Thank you for being a walking example of what radical obedience looks like and for sharing your story of like it wasn't smooth sailing, that you really had to work to activate your faith muscle, Dr. Judy. Thank you for sharing that with us tonight. Any final words or advice you want to share with the individuals this evening? And then definitely share the name of your YouTube channel again and where they can find you. And thank you for dropping that in the chat.
Okay, sure. I just put my website and thank you, Crystal, and she put my Instagram. So I want to say first off that there is hope. Healing is always possible. You have to at least believe that. Regardless of what your doctor tells you, most doctors don't know much about nutrition unless they're like me and they've studied themselves. So find you a lifestyle medicine doctor or a holistic functional medicine doctor or healthcare provider. I would recommend instead of like just not going to anybody. It's a good idea to have blood work checked at least once a year. That's what I would say. And foster know your body. That's what I really try and empower people to advocate for themselves better when they go into the healthcare system, especially people of color, because I think sometimes people are ashamed to admit that they don't know something, that they don't understand something. I think sometimes doctors do a poor job of explaining things in simple terms and making sure that people understand. But I'm very big on education. Like I love teaching. And so I've always just been this way, even when I was in practice. So don't be afraid to ask questions. You have my information there. You can reach out to me on Instagram, subscribe, follow my YouTube if that interests you. Don't hesitate to reach out. And, you're on the right path. Plant-based is definitely where it's at. No sugar, no oil, no salt. That's where it's at. But I'm just proud of all of y'all for the progress that you've made this month. I mean, that's amazing. Just keep it up. Find you a good support system. And just keep your head right. Stay positive. You can do this.
Yes. And what's the name of your podcast, Dr. Judy?
The Plant-Based MD.
Yes. Okay. So the Plant-Based MD on YouTube, on Instagram, and podcast. And then I know, is your challenge still open or no?
Oh, yeah. I'm having a fasting masterclass, not a challenge actually this month. I decided I'm going to do a fasting masterclass about the benefits of fasting. So intermittent fasting, water fasting, and then spiritual fasting is so beneficial. So that's on June 27th. Thank you for reminding me. I forgot. Yes, June 27th, I am doing a masterclass about the benefits of fasting. That's something else that I started doing last year. that meditation, mindfulness, all kind of things before that I thought was woo-woo. I'm doing all of it now. Girl, I even did hyperbaric oxygen therapy. I did IV
Ooh.
drips. I did everything.
Yes.
I was so desperate to heal. I was like, I would do anything. Come
And
to
all
find out,
along,
it
it
was
was
just a mind
obedience.
thing. Yeah.
That's a lot of people. Like, we'll try everything except the thing God telling us to do. Won't he, Will?
Right.
Well, thank you so much, Dr. Judy. I appreciate you being here.
Thank you. Someone asked, how do we get info and join the fasting masterclass?
Yes.
Let me put the link in the chat because actually I don't even think I put it on my website yet. I just started promoting it the other day.
Okay. So Dr. Judy is going to drop that link.
Yeah, I'll put it in the chat.
Grab it out of the chat and put it on YouTuber. So we got y'all too. And then just so you guys know, Dr. Judy will be back during our 2-day summit. Our 2-day summit is happening June 29th and 30th. And so Dr. Judy will be back with us at that time as well, when in conversation about a different topic. So you guys make sure you guys stay locked into all of our live classes throughout this challenge. Dr. Judy, thank you.
Thank you so much for the opportunity. This was fun.
Of course. Okay, guys, it's about that time. Y'all know what it is. Tell them what time it is, Kiwi. We're about to move into Q&A for our VIP. But first, did you guys enjoy that? Listen, before we let our general admission go, I want to hear from YouTube and I want to hear from some of our VIPs. Just drop one major takeaway that you got from that conversation. Let Dr. Judy know what impact did she have on you guys this evening. So YouTube, you do it too. Drop in the chat just one major takeaway. What resonated for you the most? What part was for you tonight? I would love to hear. For me, it was just confirmation of how it is so possible to become ill when we are out of alignment. Like how possible, like your physical from the neck down can become severely disrupted because of where we're not addressing from the neck up. Right? We got something nagging at us, telling it we're supposed to do something. We're going back and forth in our minds about something, and we're not honoring that thing. And so as a result, it impacts us from the neck down. Let's look at some of these major takeaways, Dr. Judy. Be your own advocate when your body is telling you something is wrong. Patrice said the part when God released all her blessings when she resolved to let that job go. Honey, disobedience is connected to sickness. Medication does not heal. It treats the symptoms. Chronic stress leads to having a physiological change in my body. When moving in God's purpose for your life, there's no room for doubt. I'm talking about zero room for doubt. It better not be an inch. Y'all hear me? No doubt. Okay. Don't be afraid of your purpose, not addressing things from the neck up. Come on, Diana. Come on. Confirmation is good. Is a good one. Her story is relatable. That's so good. And I hope y'all dropping them over there on YouTube too. Like, listen, this disobedience stuff is heavy work. Y'all think eating McDonald's is dangerous. Try being disobedient to what God told you to do, honey. You feel me? You're like, we all think drinking soda and eating them potato chips is your biggest problem. No, your biggest problem is your disobedience. Right? Your biggest problem ain't what you think. Yeah, you sedentary and you should be exercising, but your lack of an exercise plan ain't your biggest problem. It's a problem, but it probably ain't your biggest problem. Your biggest problem is that disobedience that you wake up every day and continue to engage in. Does that make sense? Okay. Mental stress is real and should not be ignored. Amen. So this is good. Thank you so much, General Admission. Let's get ready to go into our Q&A with VIPs. Okay. Hit us one more time, Kiwi. I was a little premature before. I just wanted to...
Hold on. I'm going to fill you in. Evelyn had to chime in. Evelyn said, it's the peace for me. Exiting places that are preventing you from being in a peaceful state. And then Brianna said, clean the basement out. Diet and movement are amplified if you in a clear vessel. I love it. And listening to God what he has for me.
Yes. Shout out to YouTube. Y'all listen. I love it. Now, while y'all over there, make sure y'all go follow Dr. Judy. Okay. So that way y'all have a couple channels y'all can come get this help. Quit playing with us now. Okay. Me and Dr. Judy talk the exact same language. So you ain't gonna know the difference. Okay. So make sure y'all follow her while y'all over there on YouTube too. Listen, General Admission, thank you for being here this evening. We will see you guys back here on Saturday morning, 7 a.m. EST, where we're going to be in conversation with Dr. Nichelle Horton Brown afternoon with Doctor's Q&A on Saturday morning. So general admission, we will see you then. Okay.